Hi, everyone. Deborah Hamilton, starting a little bit early tonight, but wanting to check in with everyone. Hey, Sally, how are the girls?
The girls are great. We had a little snow, a little ice, and freezing rain. So 27 degrees tonight, a huge change.
I know because it was up in the 80s last weekend, right?
Yeah,
Hi,
kind
babe.
of almost yesterday. So, yeah, big changes here.
I know, I know. Hey, Stephanie, how is Yoda? That's not Yoda. That's somebody else, right?
This is Yoda.
That's Yoda. I always thought Yoda was a dog. I'm sorry. So she's
Oh
beautiful.
no.
Hi, baby. Oh, I'm so glad to meet him. Him, right?
Hmm?
Oh, beautiful. He is beautiful. When I have my grandkitty, I'll have to make sure she is here for one of the MAP programs because I'll have her for a month. So I should have her twice. I know. She's a beautiful gray kitty. The only issue we have at the Hamilton house is that my dogs are not kitty proof because they don't know about kittens. So we're going to be a family in transition for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So the holiday season should be wonderful. Hey Susan, how are you? So it's 6:30. We'll start the MAP community call. I'm Deborah Hamilton. I'm so glad all of you are here. And tonight I am looking forward to talking to you about bringing a new pet into the family because that is something that the MAP plan has to plan for as well. Because if you have a MAP plan in place for your current pet and you get a new pet, how you can't presume, and Sally knows about presumptions, you can't presume that the person who's taking care of the one pet will also be able to take care of the second pet. So you really need to make plans to care for that pet as well. So I'm going to check in with everybody. I know I just did a little bit, but Sally, it's been 27 degrees there and you had snow. And how much fun was that for the girls? They probably looked out the door and said, not on our watch.
No, Athena put on her jacket because she's rather slim and doesn't have a lot of hair. And Roxy was just like, this is fabulous. But they did get to the end of the yard, turned around, and came back in.
Yeah, they said this is fabulous for about 25 feet, which I presume is the end of the yard because I've walked it. And then they said, that 3 mile walk, maybe not today.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Our older dog, Athena, likes to walk. And then when she takes her toy, that means we're turning around going home. I put her into the house, and Roxy wants to continue going. So then there's a second walk, and then we come back. And then Athena's like, well, I was left out. Now we got to go again. But that's again only to the end of the yard and back. So it's an interesting, I don't
Dynamic
know,
of
dynamic.
walking
Yes.
dynamic. Yes.
Yes.
So you have the drop toy, which is the signal to turn around and go home. And then
Yes.
Roxy's like saying, oh, wait a minute. And so she goes for a second walk, and then Athena's nose is a little out of joint because what were you thinking leaving her at home? But then she only really goes to the end of the driveway and comes back in, which at 14 for an Irish setter is a pretty good walk.
And it's interesting when they come back, I brush them because we do have ticks in Connecticut. And if I'm brushing Roxy, the younger dog, Athena comes and puts her head on the back of Roxy because she's jealous that I'm giving her more attention. So it goes.
Yeah, well, that's my house altogether because Junie doesn't like to have Mariah get any affection whatsoever.
Yes.
There is just so that's the other thing. If you're getting a new pet, recognize that the old pet may have a few noses out of joint. Athena and Roxy actually lived pretty much all of their life together. And then Athena spent time with Sally and Gordon before Roxy arrived. But Roxy is a good girl and gives Athena the queen for a day status, as opposed to the Joker, who is Roxy, who fools around and takes care of Athena. So we're really glad that the two of them are getting along so well. The two of them were quite big pals when they lived in Armonk, and now they're living in Connecticut. Susan, how's our girl Maggie?
Well, Maggie is really challenging. We had her the other day. You know, we had someone visiting the house and she was on trazodone. We tried to get a leash on her so we could control her a little bit. She manages to get the leash off. She chews on it, and we've gotten it on her a few times, and she'll somehow get it off. And I said, well, increase the trazodone. Still couldn't get the leash on her. Um, she's one of the more challenging dogs I've ever met. We were working with Doug on the leash training. I may need to go back to that, but I really hear what Sally was talking about and what you were talking about with the jealousy, because I had a dog that was so insecure. And when I got the second dog that was breed quality, I could not have the two of them together. And sometimes I wonder if having a second dog would be beneficial for Maggie or not, or would she be insanely jealous? Um, you know,
Yeah, I think
I don't
until
know.
Maggie's into some sort of a pattern where she can be controlled, bringing a second dog in would be really troubling. Because what would happen if, God forbid, Maggie hurt the other dog? So that would really make you
Yeah,
feel terrible. Or the
that's
other
true.
dog, as she defended herself, hurt Maggie, or he defended himself, hurt Maggie. These are all things you really need to consider. And I say
Yeah.
this because so Stephanie, do you have one or two cats? You just have Yoda, right?
Yes, just Yoda.
Yeah. So and if it, I know that my son also only has one cat, and I think it's really important that cats, I will learn in the next 2 months, so I'll be picking your brain, Stephanie. I'll learn in the month of November and into December what I need to do to keep Jane, that's her name, stimulated, because she's going to be in my office while the dogs are downstairs with my husband. She's going to be in the huge bedroom upstairs where my son sleeps. So she knows he's going to be here, and she knows where she is because she's been here a few times, but she's never stayed with us without my son. So this will be an interesting experience. So I will make sure I share that with all of you, because if you get another animal, you really need to be completely aware of keeping them separate when you first start out. Making sure that if you introduce them so both of them are safe. I don't want my dog scratched by a cat who's defending himself, rightly so, right? And I don't want the cat traumatized by two very large red dogs. So I am going to be incredibly vigilant. I know, Sally, you're like saying, oh my God, I know. So I am so looking forward to having Jane. And I intend, after my son leaves, because he's flying to Italy. So sometimes this is what happens. One of the pet's owners is traveling. So my son's flying to Italy because he is, good news, he is asking his girlfriend to be his fiance. So we're very excited. We love her. And so he asked if he could leave Jane because he was going to come to us and then go to Italy. And then it's almost, holiday time. So just leave her instead of traumatizing her driving back and forth. And I said, flying back and forth. And I said, sure. So this will be, and Stephanie, you will share with me any words of wisdom you might have in keeping Jane occupied. We have 3 litter boxes, one in her bedroom, one in my husband's office, and one in my office in case she decides that she wants to spend time with my husband. And we just want to make sure we are committed to making her feel at home. So any pearls of wisdom for me and for others who might be picking up a new pet, especially a cat?
Definitely. Definitely will be here for anything that the kitty might need. I would say like love and attention is just number one.
It is so interesting you said that, because Jane loves my husband, loves my sons, And the time of day is not really given to me. So I'm going to work on maybe making her understand that though I smell like a dog, I'm not a dog. And that I really truly do love her, because my son always says, Mom, you buy her such great toys, and you try to play with her, and the last person she wants to be with is you. I said, yes, I'm not taking it personally. I said, I'm sure I am doggy to her. So my husband and my sons are much less doggy, and I must be doggy, but I will prevail, and I will be persistent, but not too persistent, because I don't want to overwhelm her. So she's all set to come. But when you get a pet, or if you're watching a pet, you really need to make sure they remain safe. The other reason that I'm talking about this tonight is because my husband of 42 years has never had a dog of his own, ever. He had a family dog when he was younger, but it was his mother's. And then he came, and I had an Irish setter that couldn't stand him at all. I mean, she tolerated him. And then I, of course, went on to get Irish setters and dachshunds, and every one of them was mine. And he said, none of the dogs really liked me unless you weren't home. And I said, I know, because you don't do anything for them. So we are acquiring, and I will keep you posted. We are acquiring a roan and tan English Cocker Spaniel girl. We were supposed to get her tomorrow, but the breeder has a toothache, so we're going to get her maybe Saturday. And she is 5 months old, almost 6 months old, and we are going to show her. And I'm hoping that Junie understands that this is not something that is replacing him, but rather, I know how much he really likes having Mariah here, and Mariah's heading back in December. And last year when Mariah left, so Mariah is my Irish setter that I co-own with someone who travels in the summer. So in the summer, Mariah comes and lives with me. And Junie really likes that. He really likes having somebody to chase around and be with, and the whole 9 yards. And so she's going back in December. And so I'm hoping that little miss, her name now is Chicklet. I don't know what her name will be with my husband, but her name now is Chicklet. So she will come and we'll figure it out, and she'll be here for the holidays, which of course I will say to everyone who is watching this program is the ultimately worst time to bring a pet into your home. The worst time. There is no worse time to get an animal than the holidays. And I recognize that. And I recognize that my sons will be here, so they come for Thanksgiving for a few days, and so I'll have some help then. And my husband will be left alone with Junie and Chicklet for about 5 days while I travel to Florida to go to Disney for a few days. So we will see how he does. But this is my husband's first dog, and he is like a little kid in a candy store, because he keeps saying, is she really going to be mine? Yes, she's really going to be yours. How can we assure that? I said, well, because you're going to feed her, and you're going to train her, and you're going to be the one who puts her to bed at night, and you're going to be the one who gets up in the middle of the night and lets her out. And anyone who knows my husband, his prior life, he was really busy, but now he has really engaged in taking care of Junie. So I feel confident that this will be a good move for him, because he really does want a little dog that will sit on his lap. And so we will keep you posted. It's going to be an interesting experience. But what did I do to assure that I got a dog that was healthy? I put feelers out I've been looking for this dog for 6 months. And I put feelers out to try to find an English Cocker Spaniel. I've had 3 or 4 that were almost right. I was actually looking for a much older English Cocker, maybe 3 or 4 or 5, because I thought that would be a better fit for my husband. Housebreaking might not be his strong suit, but we'll figure that out. I don't think she's housebroken. I think she's she's good, but I don't think she's great. So we'll have to see where she is when we get her. But you have to take all of this into consideration. You have to know if you have the time. You have to, the breeder was funny when she called and said, well, I can't, meet you on Thursday, but, are you free on Friday or Saturday? Can I meet you then? I said, I was bringing a new puppy home. I said, I was free the whole weekend. I said, because we all know if we've brought home a kitten or we've brought home a puppy, or even if we've brought home an older dog, they need us to be around for the first 72 hours, no matter what, because they need to know that life they knew has changed. And who is this person? I mean, it's really difficult to get a new pet and then go to work the next day. It's not impossible. It's not impossible, but you really then have to make an effort to spend time with the dog early in the morning before you leave for work, or the cat early in the morning before you leave for work. And then when you get home from work, and maybe if you can sneak away at lunchtime, you need to do that. And if it's a really young puppy, you need to have people who are going to let it out or give it the opportunity to go to the bathroom. The breeder said to me, well, she's 5 months old. She can last for 5 hours. And I go, that's a good way to look at it, that you can really expect them in a crate, maybe for 5 hours, not to go to the bathroom. I tend to think at 5 months of age, if I don't let her out every hour, I'm going to have a mess. So she'll be probably let out every hour. And the only time that she may have a long time would be overnight. But I go to bed early. My husband goes to bed later. I get up early. So she'll probably only have 4 or 5 hours where she hasn't been able to be let out. This is really important. If you're getting a dog or a cat and you're bringing it into your home, you need to pre-plan being there with them. And you need to pre-plan introducing your current dog or cat, if you have one, to that new cat or kitten. Some of them take to them like a duck to water. They love the fact that there's somebody new there. And others of them, Maggie might be one, might take umbrance to having another dog there. And so you would have to be really careful about introducing another dog, so that nobody gets hurt. You don't want your dog to get hurt, and you don't want the new dog or cat to get hurt. So I'm going to check in with everybody. I know, Sally, you have never brought a dog in except for Roxy, actually, to one of the older girls that you had. So how did that go when Roxy walked in? It probably was not so bad because they knew each other.
Yeah, Roxy, yeah, they were great. And it's interesting, as time has evolved, Roxy actually won't even sleep on her bed if I leave. She will move over next to Athena as a guardian to make sure she's okay. But at our Animal Welfare Society, there was a dog that was just adopted out, and the people did exactly what you're saying not to do. They brought the dog home. They both went to work. They let it go in the yard. The dog dug underneath the fence.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's gone. And they got the animal welfare. It was an hour from the town I live in. Animal welfare got the world's biggest have-a-heart trap, set it up. First we got squirrels, then we got a raccoon, and finally 3 days later the dog was there, and they brought it back to the welfare society, and it was thrilled to be home, where there was
At the Welfare Society.
at the welfare society. And then the people said, well, we want the dog back. And they said, oh, I'm sorry, it's been adopted out, which of course was a lie, because they knew it was the wrong fit. You have to, but I was fortunate. The dogs knew one another, and there've been, little hiccups here and there, but they're great together. They're the very best of friends, and they watch out for one another.
And I'm so glad you said that, because there will be hiccups. Even if Junie thinks that the new puppy is the, greatest thing since sliced bread. I mean, when he sees Mariah, he loves her. And after about a day or two, he's like, okay, leave me alone. I've had enough of the high energy. So you have to give everybody time off. I mean, in my house, and it was so funny because Junie really likes early morning cuddles, and Mariah would have none of it. She wanted to be the early morning cuddle. And for about a week, I would let them out at 5 a.m, and then I would put Mariah in the beautiful kennel that I have with puffies and everything. So it's not like I'm torturing her, although you would think I was. And after about 5 days, she no longer got off the bed to do the 5 o'clock pee. She said, I know what you're going to do. You're going to put me in that kennel. And so I'm not getting off the bed. I will hold it. I will cross my legs. You can let Junie out. You can give him a cookie, but I am not getting off this bed because I am not going to be put in that kennel. So they're really smart. And then she realized that Junie needed his cuddle time. So she gave him wide berth to get his morning cuddle time. And then she got her cuddle time. It's not like, she's the stepchild who has to scrub the toilets. No, she's given a lot of cuddles. But there's, mornings are very special. And you have to really recognize that if you're introducing a new dog, you have to recognize that it's sort of like, if you've had kids, right? And you have an older kid, they get the big shirt that says, I'm the big brother, I'm the big sister. And then they recognize that this thing that you brought home is absolutely useless to play with for at least a year and maybe longer. And so let's return it. I think my son Drew asked me to return my son Tom many times because he really didn't work for the first year. So, you've got to make sure your dogs get a break, or your cats get a break. Stephanie, have you ever introduced any cats to each other?
Yes, there's a couple of cats. One passed away. The other one was like a lady cat, and she kind of was like very independent and sort of I think Yoda really loved her a lot and kind of took care of her in a lot of ways. And one summer she kind of like sort of disappeared for a little bit, and then we haven't really seen them since. But Yoda too, he'll go out and he hangs out with some of the like squirrels and birds a lot of the days, and he comes home. Sometimes he's gone for a little bit longer, but he likes being like an outdoor indoor cat as well. And we've met some other cats too that have like their own cat door, and they
Yep.
kind of like have a little farm where they can like run around amongst like vegetables and fruits and flowers and things like that too. So I think they enjoy being really independent in that way. But most of the time, if they're out, someone's at home, like my mom will be at home or something like that to sort of make sure that she's around in case like they want to come in or they get hungry or for whatever they might want or need.
To be their servant.
Yes.
Because that is our role. Our role is to take really good care of them. And if they're independent souls, I know with Jane, all I do is feel as if I'm her liege. I'm there. Let me get you a new toy. Let me get you a new treat. Let me get you a new bed. I said to my husband, we can't throw out any more Amazon boxes because she loves Amazon boxes. I don't know if your cats like Amazon boxes, but my son sent me a video of her playing in an Amazon box. I'm sitting there going, oh, I'll get her a toy or I'll get her a play thing. And then I have about 80 Amazon boxes. So I'm just going to cut holes in different places in the Amazon boxes and leave them all over the room so she has things to play with. But you're right. We're always trying to make sure they're safe, they're well fed, they're well cared for, and they're protected from we might want a new dog, but like Susan said, it might not be the right dog, the right time, the right place to get a second dog until Maggie has a little bit more control. And hopefully Doug will come back and help, because leashing is such an important piece of keeping Maggie safe. Because if she can't be on a leash, it's really tough. And I don't know, the vet gives you the trazodone. Did he say how much it was that you needed to give Maggie? Up to how much?
Well, I forget what's printed on the pill, but we usually cut it in half. But we had somebody coming over to visit, and I didn't want her jumping all over that person. And I had her on a leash. She managed to get out of it, and I said, let's just give her the rest of the pill because we can go up to a full pill. And she was still, I mean, unbelievable. I did not get the leash on her. She was really like attacking us, trying to get the leash on. Um,
Was the person who was visiting safe?
yes, as it turned out, there was no problem, and that person actually really likes dogs. So, um,
And Maggie really liked her, so maybe she could have put the leash on. No, don't do that.
well, well, Maggie didn't go near her. Actually, as soon as I would pick her up, Maggie up as soon as she. So
Yeah.
we managed to keep Maggie away, but I mean, it was unbelievable. I thought she was gonna attack me. She was full teeth looking at me, snarling when I tried to get the leash on her. And
We
it's very
definitely need
discouraging.
we need to work on Maggie. We need Doug to come in full time and see what he can do, because I don't think Maggie's happy either. So she's really
Yeah, I
feeling.
can't imagine. Right. And Deborah, I'm moving to Williamsburg, so you are welcome to come and visit and help me train Maggie.
I am happy to do that, but I don't live in Williamsburg,
No,
Virginia.
you can visit Colonial Williamsburg
I
and
can. I can. You're
yeah,
absolutely right. And I love Colonial Williamsburg. So I will come and
yeah,
meet Maggie and see what we can do over a long weekend or something. That would be wonderful, because
yeah,
it has to be tough for the family. And
it is.
that's what happens when, you might, and as Sally pointed out, if you adopt a dog or a cat and it doesn't work out, you really need to make sure that you return the dog or cat, because keeping them together when they're not friends, and one is really suffering, or both are suffering, you need to return them and be okay with being a failure, because it's all about the animals. It really is.
It
It's
is
about
hard to
making.
do. It's hard to return a dog when you've become attached. When I had my two dogs, it was strange because for the first year, they were okay with each other. But then when
Were they
Lars,
two boys or two girls?
two boys, and
Yeah.
then when after the first year, that's when things started to go
So
south
who was
with the two.
older?
Abby was the older one,
So they were
by
the boy
about
was named Abby.
Abby was I got him in 1999 and then I got Lars in 2002. And for the first year, they seemed like they were okay.
That's because you know that boys become men at about 18 months, 1 year to 18 months. So they can all be friends. I mean, I had it in my kennel. I had dogs that were absolute buddies, and then all of a sudden one day, um, they thought they were bigger than the other guy, and so they had a little bit of a discussion, and then my sons always laugh because I will stand up and look at my dogs when they're misbehaving like that, and I will tell them that there's only one alpha in this family, and it's me. And they look at me and they go, "Oh, sorry, we forgot ourselves. I'm the alpha, and so you need to, get off your high horse, put your, testosterone or your estrogen back in your pocket, and move on." But there were several of my males who definitely couldn't get along, and it was so sad because of the fact that we just had to move them up and down. And it
Yeah.
for me, it was sad because everybody was always in the house, unless somebody had a disagreement, and then we rotated. So I've lived it. I'll never live it again, because it really isn't fair to the dog.
It
Um,
isn't fair to the dog. Yeah, it's really hard though to give up a dog when you've become attached. And
it
that was
is.
the problem
It
I
is.
had.
It is. It is. And that happens with cats too. Sometimes cats are fine and then they aren't fine because they have some sort of a disagreement. Um, and you really need to think about what's in their best interest. So living, in a room off the other room because we're going to play musical dogs, works for us because we can do that. But does it really work for them? Because as I explained when Mariah was, being put in the kennel in the morning so Junie could get his cuddles, and they weren't arguing, she was just a little overwhelming. She absolutely told me in no uncertain terms, I'm not going. I will burst a bladder before I get off this bed to pee and let you put me in that kennel. No way. So they really do want to be with you. So make sure that if you decide to get a new puppy and you get a boy with a boy or a girl with a girl, and I have to say, girls are much worse at ugly than boys. Boys usually get ugly once and then somebody gets hurt and then they're fine. Girls, on the other hand, can remain ugly and not get unugly, so to speak. So it's much better to find a home where they're really good. I think Sally wasn't one of the girls that I moved up to you because she argued, or I think one of them was, but I can't remember which one. Wasn't Darla, because she never argued with anyone. She was perfect. And so was Dulcinea, so she was perfect. And Polly, of course, got along with everyone. So I don't think so. I think everybody got along really well. But yeah, everybody got along really well. But I know that there were some, girls that really needed different attention, and the boys needed different attention. So to wrap up, because we're at 7:00, I want everybody to know that I'm so grateful you're here. I know that Connie had a meeting tonight, so she couldn't come. I know that Jan had a meeting as well, so we're going to send, hellos to Tonka and to Patsy and to Casey. I love Yoda. I'm so glad we got to see him. He's so handsome. Sending love to the girls, sending love to naughty Maggie, but she's getting there. Please reconnect with Doug, because every day that she's like this, she's not happy either. So let's see if in 24 we can get her to have 4 paws on the ground and a leash, a wonderful leash. So
it's very difficult.
I know, but it's consistency, and I know that that's what I'm dreading and looking forward to as we bring this new puppy in, because it's going to be the consistency that we have with her, because English cockers jump on top of tables. Because my girlfriend's English cocker, Kathy, who comes here and is part of this community, her English cocker can jump on tables, and that will be a non-starter for me. Also, the breeder has already informed me that she eats like a vacuum, so I've already bought a Roxy bowl for her, so she has one of the puzzle bowls. So she's got that, and they tend to fling themselves into your lap whether you want them or not. So we need to let her ask instead of propelling herself. The one thing that I know my husband wants to teach her to do is to walk on the back of the couch and sleep on the back of the couch. I don't know why, but he loves the fact that they walk on the back of the couch. I don't get it, but until the third Wednesday, kiss everyone for me. I'm so glad all of you were here. Remember, it's really a time to think if you're going to bring another dog into your life, and make sure you find a caregiver for that dog as well. Don't presume that the caregiver you might have found for your first animal is also going to be able to take care of your second animal. Remember to make a plan, appoint caregivers, address the needs of your pet, and publish that plan so somebody knows what it is you want to do. Until, I guess it's like, hold on, I'm going to look, because I should have looked before, and my apologies. Until the 15th. I will see you guys the 15th. And that will be before Thanksgiving. So I'll see you all the 15th. Kiss your babies for me. And thank you so much for being part of the MAAP community.